Director John Guidi is about to call for the transmittal of stored pre-launch commands, as Columbia is less than 9 minutes away from beginning a 2.5-week mission of life and microgravity experiments, taking full scientific advantage of the effects of microgravity in space.
TLT-OTC configures fuel cell essential bus source switches.
Hey, Lord.
Pilot Kevin Kriegel is now flipping switches in the cockpit to directly connect the 3 fuel cells to the essential power buses. Coming up next will be the orbiter access arm being retracted away from the vehicle. This is the walkway used by the crew to gain entry into and out of the vehicle, and it can be returned to position within seconds if need be. And we see first motion of the OAA retract, which is beginning at this point.
MS2-OTC, channel 019, TV power switch on. MS2, that's complete.
T-minus 7 minutes and counting.
JRPS-OTC, start APU and hydraulic script chart recorder.
JRPS copies is verified.
TLT-OTC, perform APU pre-start.
Didn't work.
Orbiter test conductor Roberto Ryrick has given pilot Kevin Kriegel the go-ahead to perform the auxiliary power unit pre-start procedure. The pilot is setting the switches in the cockpit to the ready-to-start configuration at this time.
OTC, PLT APU pre-start's complete. 3 grade talkbacks.
Yep.
The next event will be the activation of the APUs that will come up in just about 20 seconds.
DLS's go for orbiter APU.
And we have a go for auxiliary power unit start.
Perform APU start.
DLT in work.
CDR-OTC, reconfigure heaters.
The launch team has terminated liquid oxygen replenish to the external tank, and the team is now initiating LOX drain back.
APU start complete. 3 in the high grade.
Copy that, thank you.
Pilot Kevin Kriegel has reported that the APU activation is complete. The main fuel valve heaters on the 3 shuttle main engines have been turned on in preparation for launch. Final purge sequences of the main engines is now underway. T-minus 4 minutes and counting.
DLS's go for purge sequence performed.
A final test of the flight control surfaces is now being conducted. This is a program pattern of movements designed to verify the readiness for launch of the engines and other flight control surfaces. And final aero surface checks of the orbiter's aero surfaces are being completed. This is verifying the orbiter's hydraulic systems. And the main engines are being gibbled for a final test before launch. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. And all is going well for today's launch. This mission carries a crew of 7, and in the payload bay rests the Life and Microgravity Space Lab. And final pressurization of the liquid oxygen tank located inside the external tank is underway.
TLT OTC, clear caution warning memory, verify no unexpected errors.
SIN works.
And the gaseous oxygen vent hood is slowly being retracted away from the top of the external tank. Inside this tank is about 500,000 gallons of super cold liquid fuels that run the orbiter's 3 main engines.
Flight crew OTC, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow. Have a great flight and have more fun than a barrel of monkeys.
Thanks a lot, Roberta. We got the visors down to pseudo 2 on, and we are going to have a good one.
Yeah, let's go for ET, LH2 pressurization.
Launch operations continue on schedule. Today is the Space Shuttle Columbia. Soon will begin its 17-day international mission to conduct life and material science experiments in space. T-minus 90 seconds and counting. T-minus 1 minute, 15 seconds. T-minus 1 minute and counting. Everything is still looking good for the launch of Columbia from Kennedy Space Center this morning. This will be an on-time launch at 10:49 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, let's go for auto sequence.
And we have a go for auto sequence start. Columbia's onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions.
20.
T-minus 20 seconds. T-minus 15. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have liftoff of the Space Shuttle Columbia on an international life science and microgravity mission.
Houston now controlling the flight of Columbia.
Houston, Columbia's in the roll program.
Roger, roll, Columbia.
Columbia completes the roll to place the shuttle in a head-down, wings-level position for the 8.5-minute ride to orbit. 23 seconds into the flight, Columbia's 3 liquid fuel main engines will soon begin to throttle back in a 3-step fashion to 67% of rated performance. That will dampen the stress on the shuttle's aero surfaces as it breaks through the sound barrier. "45 seconds into the flight, Columbia already traveling at 711 miles per hour, 2.5 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. The 3 engines now beginning to rev up to full throttle, 104% of rated performance. Those main engines, along with Columbia's 3 fuel cells and 3 hydraulic power units, all functioning normally.
Columbia, go at throttle up.
Copy, go ahead, throttle up.
The throttle up call acknowledged by Commander Tom Hendricks. He's seated on the flight deck along with pilot Kevin Kriegel. They flew together a year ago on STS-70. They're joined on the flight deck by payload commander and flight engineer Susan Helms and mission specialist Rick Linehan. Down on the middeck, mission specialist Chuck Brady along with payload specialists Jean-Jacques Favier and Bob Thirsk. 1 minute 45 seconds into the flight. Columbia traveling at 2,400 miles per hour, more than 18 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 22 miles in altitude, all systems functioning normally. Booster officer here in Mission Control standing by for solid rocket booster shutdown and separation about 5 seconds from now. Booster officer confirms a normal solid rocket booster separation, standing by for the performance call.
Columbia, performance nominal.
Nominal performance.
Columbia's onboard computers now converging in the proper guidance and trajectory to steer Columbia towards the proper keyhole in space for main engine cutoff. Everything going well so far in the first 2.5 minutes of Columbia's 20th voyage.
Columbia, 2-engine Ben Guerir.
2-engine Ben Guerir.
That call from spacecraft communicator Blaine Hammond indicating that if one main engine should fail, Columbia still could make a transoceanic abort to Ben Guerir, Morocco. However, all 3 main engines continue to track right down the pike. 3 minutes, 5 seconds into the flight,